All right. Good morning. Great morning. Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk Live. This is a show where my guests and I explore what it looks like to live a sustainable, healthy life as mothers, as women, for ourselves, in the home and in the community. I'm your host, Coach Connie Pastorius. I am the founder of Pastorius Fitness, which is online coaching for overwhelmed moms who are looking to regain control of their lives and reclaim their health. I'm also the founder and woman in charge here at Strong as a Mother, Happy and Healthy Living, which is a group that sets the standard for what online support for women and mothers should be. We want parents to live happy and healthy lives while raising happy and healthy babies. So please do me a favor, drop a 1 or a good morning in the comments if you're watching live, or a 2 if you're catching the replay in the group or in YouTube. And either way, please don't be shy. I want to hear your voice in this conversation. So please ask your questions, add your comments, and if we have the time, we will get to them in this chat today. So please make sure you like, share, and subscribe so I know you want to keep getting more of this awesome content. And please invite all the moms you know that want to have a part and a voice in this village. So let's get to why we're here today. I am so excited for you to meet today's guest because she is a health and a fitness coach similar to me, and a longtime friend from my hometown. And if that's not awesome enough, this girl is also she's also trained and competed in natural bodybuilding competitions. So please welcome to the show, all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Sam Herman. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to see you.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute, and we were just chatting before the show started that, so we went to high school together, but I graduated in 2006. What year did you graduate in?
2004.
Right. So we kind of like passed each other in the halls. I said hi to your brother. We knew each other. We were cool, but we didn't really connect until we kind of refound each other. We found each other again on social media, and we're like, oh, you're into fitness. I'm into fitness. Like, this is cool. And then we just kind of kept talking. And then I saw you posting these amazing bodybuilding competition photos. And I was like, I want to talk about that because it's so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a beast in itself.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to talk about today. So I'm holding up my insanely large cup from Sesame Place. My daughter and husband and I went there this past weekend, and it was just a blast. So perfect segue to talk about what's in the cup this morning, Sam.
Woo. So in my cup this morning, I'm literally just coming back from the gym. So you guys get no filters, no makeup, and protein shake in my cup.
Awesome. What kind of protein do you prefer?
So I have a dairy allergy, so I cannot actually consume whey protein or casein. So I do vegan protein powder, but I found this awesome brand called Truvani. So it's from the Food Babe. I don't know if you've heard of her before. She's been pushing to get like mainstream fast food restaurants to clean up their ingredient lists, to get rid of like GMOs, all that kind of stuff. So, and she's succeeded in a lot of places. But her vegan protein powder, I like chocolate. So it has 6 ingredients and that's it.
That's awesome. And it actually tastes good?
I mix it just with water. It tastes good. Texture is going to be chalkier than whey protein, but it is still less chalky than so many other brands that I've had. Like, so texture, taste, flavor, I love it. My husband, who consumes dairy a lot, he actually will use my vegan protein in his smoothies.
Nice. And that's really important to know that there is like good vegan protein out there, because I've had some bad stuff. Like Sun Warrior, someone recommended it to me, and it just tasted like cornmeal. Like it was so dry, so gritty. And I was like, I don't like vegan protein powder. And like between organic and like all the gluten-free and specialty and vegan, like that industry has just exploded, which is to our benefit because now stuff actually tastes good, which is perfect.
And for me, like I said, I can't do whey or casein. So I usually try and do whole food. So like usually I would be eating eggs right now, but I didn't give myself enough time in between the gym and here. So I'm like, quick drink, protein powder it is. So.
Yeah, why not? We adjust as needed.
Exactly.
So I have not gotten to my workout yet today, but I am still finishing my first cup because as you can see, this thing is enormous. I'm still drinking good old fashioned coffee. And I actually have oatmeal creamer. So I can have dairy, I can have whey and all that stuff, but I think it's Oat Yeah brand makes a really awesome coffee creamer that isn't too high in sugar and it tastes amazing. Shout out to one of my clients who introduced it to me, but we're not just talking about protein powder today. I want to get into our conversation because I think this is a really interesting and really important thing to talk about. So let's start with why we're here today. We want to discuss, I've really wanted to discuss with you these photos of women that we see on a daily basis in magazines, on Instagram, in workout videos, in ads, and how the work that goes into those levels of fitness are either very intense or they're very photoshopped. And I wanted to have this conversation with you, starting with why you feel this is something that's important to talk about.
Yeah, definitely one of the, I think, most important things to talk about, especially being women, because we are inundated with images of the perfect body, right? Like small waist, big breasts, toned ass, like you want to look great, right? And everything you see on TV, magazines, everything, this is what people are pushing women to look like. Well, this is not sustainable at all. First of all, like you had mentioned, a lot of it is photoshopped. And I technically went to college for art, so I know how to Photoshop stuff.
Oh, okay.
I can spot out Photoshop stuff where most people can't. Like it's very subtle things. A lot of it is lighting and filter. I mean, a lot of us, like we can do that via Instagram now, right? Like boost the contrast, maybe filter it a little bit, make things pop, make things look a little bit better. But for the little girls growing up, they don't know this. They can't recognize this, and this is what they see every day. And this is what's leading to so many, I think, eating disorders and just mental health issues for our younger generations. So, like I really want to be a voice of reason for some of these kids growing up and kind of, and you're seeing it more. There's more Instagram models like being like, okay, this is reality and this is Instagram. It's really getting to be difficult because Photoshop is so easy.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, like when it's not Photoshopped, like things that we don't understand or recognize is that these women have been cutting, which is dieting, but it's a methodical type of dieting, and that's kind of in the bodybuilding world, the word we use, because they're trying to lose as much body fat but maintain as much muscle as possible. And they're doing this for weeks until the photo shoot. And then they're like potentially even during the photo shoot, they're dehydrated. They may be taking certain stimulants, whether they're like legal or not, like you don't know. But to get that like pumped look, vascularity look, women will like the photo shoots technically will be like within 5 to 10 minutes after they're done lifting too. So like they have a bigger look to them. But yeah, it's pretty interesting once you kind of get into it and see what's involved.
Yeah, and it's so I feel like you have a really, really great perspective, not only because you have this degree in art and experience in Photoshop, because I mean, there are apps out there that do all the touching up and all of the adjusting that like Photoshop would normally do, but just for Instagram. But you also, so you can point that kind of stuff out, but you also have the experience of doing these bodybuilding competitions and understand like maybe this Instagram model is just doing a tricep press on her, on her page for one of her posts or something. And, the average woman is looking at that saying like, oh, I'll look like that if I just do like this one exercise, or why don't I look like that? I am doing that exercise. So really being able to like dissect and understand that these are really unrealistic, uncommon expectations and things that women do, and starting to have these conversations, as adults, as we are right now, but also with our kids, and saying like, this isn't real, or this isn't normal, like this isn't average. Yeah. So since like you're also a nutrition and fitness coach, you've competed in bodybuilding competitions, of all the activities that you do, like what got you into this particular sport?
Honestly, my husband got me into this. I love to set goals for myself. I like to push my body and my mind to see how far I can go, right? Like I'm always growing, I'm always learning. I love to do that. So it literally was the day of my amateur boxing match, and I did great. I did not win my match. Like I did good though. I did not get knocked out, but I scratched my eye. Like I scratched my eye pretty bad in the second round and still fought like with a scratched eye. I didn't realize how badly it was scratched till the next day. But my husband's like, well, maybe you should try bodybuilding. Like, what if you do that next? And that way, like, you won't have to worry about your eyes or your face getting hit all the time. So, and he bodybuilds, but he does not compete. So he doesn't like the whole competition idea, kind of the whole like performing on stage type thing. So he just looks like he's always ready for a show. So I started bodybuilding and kind of putting on muscle. So I did a bulking phase and then a cutting phase to a show. So it took about a year to get me to my first show.
Okay. So what got you, like, what was the moment where you're like, I could compete, or I should see like what happens at a competition? Because I know like doing a bodybuilding type regimen and workout or program is still very different than saying like, I'm going to plan to go to competition.
Yeah. So I didn't plan it all too well. Like I bulked and I lifted and I did that on my own kind of and with my husband some, but I really found a coach to walk me through this when I was a little over 20 weeks away from a show I wanted to do. So I didn't know like how big I was going to be, because you really don't know how much muscle you have until you cut as much fat down as possible. So I was like, I just set a goal and I set the show date, which was a local Pittsburgh show, and it was a natural competition. So there is, let me just little segue, like there's natural competitions and then there's everything else. Natural bodybuilding competitions have strict requirements on a banned substance list. So no amphetamines, no this, no that, no estrogen blockers, no testosterone, no steroid use, okay. And no, like women will they will use prescription strength diuretics for heart conditions to cut water weight at the end, okay. Too. So like all that stuff is banned from the natural competitions. And then everything else allows it, but that doesn't mean everybody else does it. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I saw a goal, I set the date, and I worked with my coach and a nutritionist at the time, because I didn't want to do my own. So, and we figured out meal plan, diet, exercise, and I did literally 20 weeks of a regimented diet, no cheat days, no nothing.
Right. So you had started talking about it a little bit, but for all of us who have no idea what the world of competitive bodybuilding actually entails, give us a rundown of just what the judging is like, what the expectations are, what your time investment was, your diet, exercise, sleep, like all this stuff, just so we make it very clear that like to get, and I think I'm going to try to pull up like your photo from your competition, if that's okay, while you're talking about this, but I want people to understand and like really know what it takes to get that kind of physique.
Yeah. So let me start kind of with a little bit of my stats. Like I'm 5'6", 5'6",5'6.5". So for this show, I started at 140 pounds, which was about 24% body fat, right? I was considered healthy body fat percentage, maybe on the little low side. I ended up losing 17 pounds in 11 and a half, 12 weeks. And you don't want to lose it fast because you could potentially lose muscle. So I gave myself a very, very short prep this time, and it was, a 12-week prep. And what goes into that? Like I was eating the same thing at the same time every day, Monday through Sunday. Like there were no cheat meals, no cheat days. Same thing. I had all of my calories, my macros figured out. And then systematically, like this is just the diet part, systematically, like we would cut my calories or carbohydrates, like we'd alter my macros, cut my calories little by little throughout the 12 weeks to the point where I was finally eating 1,200 calories, but only 25 grams of carbs. I was like, my macros were 70% protein and
wow,
barely any carbs, barely any fat. So like it is a science. Like the nutrition aspect is a science. And what I want to point out here is I only got down to 17% body fat, which is chubby for on stage. So like I want to be honest, like,
and I'm sharing your picture right now, like you can see it, right? Like this is not the leanest and the industry standard, right?
No. So I was, like I said, about 17% body fat here. They probably would have preferred 14% body fat, which means like I probably could have lost another 5 to 10 pounds from here, which doesn't seem possible, but it is.
Yeah. And what happens? You were talking with me before about what happens when you get down to that kind of low body fat.
Yeah. So, I mean, we need body fat to function.
Yeah.
Body fat controls hormones. It controls brain function. If you've ever heard of brain fog or like mental fatigue, like that is legit. Like, there are times where you're just standing there and you're like, shit, like what the hell was I doing? Like, can't remember anything. Work, like I was writing everything down, so I just did not fall apart at work, like for the last couple of weeks, especially. But yeah, and like I said, I was healthy body fat percentage, but even lower, like that, the brain function starts to really slow down. You start forgetting, like short-term memory, like out the window. Long-term memory is usually still pretty there, but you can completely destroy your monthly cycle. And when you destroy that, when that stops, you have to worry about hormone issues. I've met women who have like severe acne, they have hair loss, they have just emotional instability, definitely. Like that's 100% true. There's just a lot of stuff, like, and if you lose your cycle for too long, you start losing bone density. So you can actually give yourself like osteoporosis in your early like 20s and 30s. So like it's not sustainable to get that low and do it for extended periods of time.
Yeah. And I mean, all these things you're talking about are common, normal postpartum conditions that women face. There are hormone fluctuations, bone density loss, especially if they're breastfeeding. brain fog, mom brain, same one and the same. So being this dedicated and this regimented in the name of, your physique, in the name of bodybuilding and getting that lean and getting the six pack, that would be doubling down on a life that's already incredibly difficult for moms. It's not impossible though, right?
Right. And that's just the nutrition aspect, right? Like I didn't even talk about the lifting. Like this, to compete, especially, like it is a second full-time job. And for moms, like I don't know how moms do it. Like there are moms that do it. I just don't understand, because like I relied on my husband. Like he meal prepped for me. Like he was part of this with me. Like his whole life revolved around my life, and my whole life revolved around eating, sleeping, working out, and work. And that was it. We didn't go out. We weren't social. We didn't see friends, because you can't change your diet. You can't drink. You can't, like, so why go out? Sleep, you want to sleep as much as humanly possible. I would like minimum 8 hours of sleep. But there were times where it's like, oh, I'm starving, I'm hungry, my last meal is 5:30, I don't get to eat again until like 7:30 tomorrow morning. I'm just gonna go to bed. I don't care what time it is, like, because if not, I'm just be hungry and miserable. But like I have seen women do it with children, and like I said, I just don't know how. Like it has to be one of the top priorities in your life. Like your kids' lives will revolve around your schedule. Like it's the only way I see it working. Like you take them, like everything you do with them has to involve some kind of workout with you, because like my time dedication to this, like I have a desk job, so I have to compensate for that, right? I'm sitting most of the day. I'd have to take breaks. On my lunch break, I'd be posing. I lifted before work. I would wake up, so I'd be at the gym at 5 a.m. and I would lift with my trainer for at least a half an hour, do anywhere from, depending on where I was in my process, anywhere from 22 minutes to 60 minutes of cardio, which isn't even a lot of cardio, because I know some women who do 80 minutes of cardio a day. This is a day.
Was it strictly for like extra calorie burn, right?
Yeah. And you gotta, like, when I say it's a science, because it's like you don't want to just run and burn calories, because you can tear down your leg muscles, and you want to keep your quads and hamstrings as big as you can. So you don't want to tear that muscle down. So a lot of it is like either interval training or just steady state walking up in incline hills, incline treadmill, stair stepper. Like it's very particular.
How does it feel when you're doing this, especially the cardio, when you're focusing on
you have like and I will say this time around was a lot easier than last time, because I was able to adjust my macros myself sometimes. Like I was functioning most of the time off of like 60 grams of carbs, 60 to 80 grams of carbs a day. And that was no refined sugars, no nothing. Like my carbohydrate intake was like rice, cauliflower, broccoli, a rice cake or two. And I think that was it. Like a piece of fruit after a workout occasionally. But then, like I said, that would all kind of dwindle away as I got closer to the competition itself. And yeah, like you get exhausted and you get mentally fatigued, because you're eating the same thing every day. You get pretty bored with your food. Like I lost my appetite completely for a while. Like I didn't care how hungry I was, I just didn't feel like eating.
That's really interesting. Like, and you mentioned that that at one point your meals were like 70% protein. So what did that look like for you? Like an example.
Okay, so let's see, breakfast. I would lift on an empty stomach. I would take a gram of glutamine a day. Like pre-workout was a glutamine and a caffeine capsule.
Okay.
And I found these awesome extended release caffeine capsules that you can pull apart and like kind of alter to what you need that day. And they don't give you the jitters. It's perfect.
Really?
Yeah. So that is pre-workout. And then workout, empty stomach. At the end of my workout, I would have, while I was still allowed, I was able to have an apple and a BCAA drink. So branched chain amino acids, kind of replenish. And then by the time I got home, I would eat 3 eggs. So it was 3 scrambled eggs was my protein intake. And then that was by like 7:30. At 9:30 to 10 o'clock, I would have 5 to 6 ounces of lean ground turkey, and then a cup and a half of rice cauliflower with 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Very tasty. Still eat that today. Then a couple hours later would be lunch. I was eating about 5 ounces of grilled chicken and like a couple cups of, like 3 cups of romaine lettuce heart, like romaine cut up, tiny bit of olive oil. And when I was allowed, I was still having like a rice cake, a plain, no salt rice cake, nothing on it, just the rice cake. Afternoon snack, which was around 3 o'clock, was another 5 ounces of ground turkey, usually in a turkey patty at that point, with like a cup and a half of steamed broccoli. And then dinner was like 5, 6 ounces of grilled chicken, or it was a couple more, like usually like 7 to 8 ounces of tilapia, like steamed grilled tilapia. And then what was it, like a cup of lightly sauteed steamed zucchini noodles.
So this is really interesting because the meals that you're saying sound to me like the things that moms that I work with, or just women that I talk to, feel like they need to eat in order to lose weight. Just the plain chicken, just the rice cauliflower, cut out as many of the carbs as possible. And they try it, not working with me, but they've tried it. They tried eating that for like one meal or like a whole day. And then they're like, this sucks. I cannot do this.
Yeah,
so
it's boring.
It's boring. It is very high in protein. It's very, like you said, specific and like science. You said more than once, like when I was allowed to. Yeah. So this can be a very dangerous
mindset.
A dangerous mindset and a path to like disordered eating, to body dysmorphia. And that's something that I'm guessing is prevalent in the bodybuilding world.
Very much so. Most of the girls leave the bodybuilding world because they can't handle, they literally think like what I look like right now, and I'm only a couple pounds up from stage weight, like they would call themselves pudgy. Like they'd be like coming off of having abs, like having a 6-pack and then no longer having a 6-pack anymore. It messes with your head. Like it was hard for me to like release some of the control of my diet and start going like, oh, I can have a glass of wine tonight, no problem. And like the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, did I gain like a couple pounds just from drinking a glass of wine? It's mentally, it hurts. It hurts mentally.
So I really appreciate you sharing that and opening up a little bit about how challenging it is. And what I want to, like, why we're having this conversation, kind of bringing it back to the unrealistic reality of aiming for that kind of body. When we talk about wanting to look good in a bikini, when we're stepping outside, somebody I was talking to, a previous client of mine, said like, we survived the storm, but like coming out of COVID, we step outside and look at the damage and seeing like what our eating habits were, what happened to our body while we were like stuck inside COVID and like during COVID, and want to start working towards that healthier versions of ourselves and making sure that we aren't using mainstream media as the standard, as the goal. Because it sucks. It is not attainable. So like for you as a coach, you don't train bodybuilders, right? You do a whole other scope of practice. So tell us a little bit about like what you work towards with your clients.
So I work towards having them be a healthier, stronger version of themselves. So where bodybuilding is somebody else's ideal version of you, like you want to figure out what is maintainable and doable for you. And that is probably the biggest challenge, because everybody wants, like we talked about, what's on TV, what's on magazines. The one thing like that was great that I can kind of take to my clients too with this last bodybuilding show, like I accepted the fact that yes, like I work a job where I'm in front of the computer all day, right? So I am not going to as easily cut and as quickly as some other girls or who can be on their feet all day long. Like I have to put in more time for my workouts, more time for my cardio. And I accepted the fact that, yeah, I may not be as lean as everybody else on stage, but I did this for me. I didn't do it for anybody else. And so that is the biggest thing, like I like to work on with my clients is setting realistic expectations for them. So not comparing yourself to somebody else, but like, let's compare yourself to you, where you are now, where do you want to be? And then like kind of look at where you came from, because you don't always realize like what the stuff that you succeeded in until you look back at photos or how mental mindset, like where you've been, what you've done, and then go, oh shit, like look at where I got to. I'm pretty damn happy about all the work I did.
So you'd say that like in addition to like the exercise and the nutrition aspects, you help people accept their bodies as they are.
Yes. Yeah.
And work towards the healthiest version, not just the skinniest version.
Right. Because most of the time the skinniest version is not the healthiest version.
I agree. When I was at my quote skinniest, I think I got to 18% once in my life. And that was because I was working from sun up to sundown, teaching tons of classes throughout the day, living off protein bars. And at the end of the day too, I would hit the pillow, be completely knocked out till 9 a.m., have 30 minutes to get ready for work and then go right back to it. Like I was miserable. I hurt all the time. I was the skinniest. I looked the best in my bathing suit, but at what cost? And at this point, I'm like, I don't want that life anymore. And I don't want
kids at that point.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I did not. And now that I have a daughter, I think a lot about the beliefs I had growing up as a kid. You knew me in high school. I was not skinny. I was not athletically inclined. And I didn't really have a sense of self. Except I just knew that all the boys were paying attention to all the other girls because I wasn't the typical hourglass skinny shape, whatever. So I think our goal here, and you mentioned it too, is to be able to look at these pictures and know that that is not the case. That is not the end goal. And that like self-acceptance for ourselves and modeling that self-acceptance behavior for our kids would be a great way to start changing the conversation and giving them the tools to feel confident in their bodies, no matter how they look.
One thing I forgot to mention is those girls that compete with the six pack and have the nice perky boobs, they're fake. They're not real.
There's no way they could
that lean and have boobs at the same time.
Yeah.
You gotta trade one or the other.
So I guess the body fat like doesn't like with our, so let's talk about like fake boobs, plastic surgery, whatever they put in, I guess silicone doesn't count towards body fat, like it doesn't register as fat. You use skin fold calipers in that kind of measuring?
So for the competitions, they don't require you to be a certain body fat percentage. Like it's a look, but they want you to look feminine, which means boobs. Like, how are you supposed to look feminine and be 14% body fat or as lean as humanly possible? Like, our boobs go away. They go away.
Yep.
And if you look at the girls who have the six pack and who have the push-up bras on, like you will see like a round line, because you'll see their chest, like their pec striation, and then you'll see their fake boobs. You'll see their implants. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I just want people to understand that if you want breasts, and a six pack, you're going to have to buy your boobs.
That is absolutely correct. And I love that you like put that disclaimer out that we're not sitting here in judgment. Like if that's a lifestyle they want to live, that's beautiful. That's awesome. Like live your life. This is an educational, an informational kind of conversation about what's real and what's not. So wrapping this up, I think I would love to hear what you think one thing is that women listening in today could do or start thinking about based on the conversation we just had.
So, I mean, I'd love them to think about their goals, their priorities. Like the priorities is the most important thing. Like, are your kids your priority? Are you your priority? Is your relationship your priority? And then set your priorities in the order you want them and then accept them. Like, this is your life. Like, you accept what priority list like you want. If getting that perfect, quote unquote, perfect body is your highest priority, like you want to check in with your significant other. First of all, make sure that they're on board because you need them on board. Because if they're not, it's going to be impossible. But if it's not your top priority, like, just consider health being a high priority, and whatever that looks like to you, then that is like, you don't have to have a six pack. You don't have to have like gorgeous shoulders and a super plump ass to be healthy. Like, you don't need it. But having good blood work, having sustained energy, healthy joints, being able to be there for your kids later on in life, like those are things to consider. And don't just focus on the physique itself. Mental mindset is another one. Like, you want the mental health. Physical and mental health go together. So these are just things to consider, things to think about. And if you want a goal, set it and go for it. But you gotta have that drive. You gotta have that motivation every day to get what you want, regardless of, like I said, physique, health, your kids, whatever it is. Just go after it. Be strong, be motivated, be dedicated,
and disciplined.
Discipline, yes. Discipline can come in two different ways. Like, you can have a lot of willpower, or you can hide the things that will make you break. So then you don't have to have as much willpower.
Right. And I think I love something that you said, and I feel it's like the perfect takeaway. Don't base your priorities on your goals, but create goals around your priorities.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'm going to put that on a t-shirt or something, because I think it's rock solid advice and a really cool way to like wrap this up. So Sam, thank you so much for joining me. It is so nice to connect with you again, face to face. Please come visit if you're ever in New York. Cheers to an awesome conversation. And if you want to chat, moms who are watching, if you want to chat more with Sam, she works with busy professionals who are looking to develop a healthy mindset and a healthy body through sustainable exercise and nutrition practices. You can follow her on Instagram at empowerpgh or visit her website at empowerpghhealth.com. So let's keep the conversation going. I want to hear your takeaways. I want to hear your thoughts. If anyone in this group or watching has done bodybuilding competitions and want to share their experience, I would love to hear it. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Invite your moms into the group, and be sure to click that link and join the Strong as a Mother community if you are not already in here, because I cannot wait to meet you. Until next week, stay strong, stay caffeinated, and I will see you in the group. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.